For this video, I'm going to start with a realization I had pretty recently. I kept seeing mention in motivational videos that if you use motivation only and not passion, generally in less than 6 months, end up falling off. With everything that ended up happening in 2020, on top of what I was trying to do, this actually happened. So I ended up retreating to a buddy's place in the country on a cattle ranch. Been here for about 4 months, but so I've spent most of that time trying to get recentered. Everything was shut down in the city. I was making less than 40 hours a week and no sense paying rent and staying there. Getting more depressed. Nothing to do other than online. Come out to the country, I can go back to exercise and work on my mindset again, get away from it all. It took me almost a month and a half to get going again. So for the last 2 months, I've been doing pretty good. Like I said, like 2 weeks ago is when finally figured it out. The level of introspection needed to dig deep down and look at every little part and piece of your soul. Also, to ask why about everything. I had this yesterday, was in my speech meetup with a group called Toastmasters. Was trying a general evaluator role for the first time. It doesn't matter, but it's one of the higher roles. You have to oversee everything in a meeting and evaluate it. Somehow I got tripped up toward the beginning. Thought I had all the reference sheets, everything good, and ended up starting to have a little panic attack, and it just kept going downhill. Somebody did help me through that, fortunately, but I should have been able to pull myself back. So right after the meeting, just calmed myself down and took Ogden's advice, started asking why. Why was I getting stressed out? What is the problem? And once I actually got to thinking about it, I isolated the issue, and I'm now able to work on that separately. So next time, should be fine. It's only once a week. I go back, signed up again for evaluation next week to give me more practice. But this gives me an entire week to build on what I don't know, which it was not knowing, not being able to put it down fast enough. You only have a couple of minutes, and then it's like you're evaluating something else. So you have to be able to read these things pretty fast to give glows and grows. And that's something I've been struggling with. But I found ways where I can go out and practice this and learn. Being a slow learner isn't bad. It just means you have to put more time in. But the fact that I was able to calm myself down, isolate the event, and just move on and learn from that failure. Figure out what the problem is and move on. Figure out how to fix it so it will be improved the next time. That's the mindset. That's something priorly I would have struggled a long time with. Maybe have spent hours or even a whole night or longer, just like, oh boy, that sucked. But here it was just right after the meeting, I was able to roll it over and figure it out. And okay, I get it now. I see what I have to do. The goal, of course, is to get it. So even during the meeting, I might be able to just that fast figure it out. And then be able to continue on with whatever else, maybe just miss a little bit. Not be stressing out till the end and have a blank mind. Life is always a work in progress. Moving beyond motivation into drive. There's a few apt points and sayings that work pretty well here. One is comfort is the enemy of progress, which is one reason I'm leaving where I am soon and going back to the city. Things are starting to open up there. I can get more done. Staying in one place too long, it gets too comfortable. You have to go outside your comfort zone almost every day. Actually, go out of your way to make yourself uncomfortable. I started that back in, I'd say November. That's the first time I went up to Portland there and gave it a try. Everything up there was new. I had no idea exactly what I'd be getting into, and a lot of stuff was totally different than I thought, but just stuck with it and made it all work until everything shut down, of course. But I could have stayed there, like I said. I just didn't see the point. Now that I'm developing the proper mindset, it's time to go back and start over again. jumping back out of my comfort zone and moving into doing things. Another good point is because I don't want to do them, like getting up in the morning. Often, I don't feel like getting up, and it's just, that's why. It's like, okay, jump out of bed, let's do it. And one last thing Goggins says, really have to reiterate because it's that powerful. When you can find passion and drive in your own insecurities, you become very unstoppable. Actually finding the passion and the drive to power through anything, through your weaknesses, through your insecurities, getting angry with it, understanding that you're bettering yourself by using the power of looking at yourself and saying, I want to be better. I want to be there. No more outside forces, just using the power within yourself. And that's incredible. Personally, I'm still working myself up to that stage. I'm still at the digging down to the bottom stage right now, trying to figure out the hows and the whys. But every day, 1 inch closer. At the moment, that's really all I have on mindset. I think that covers the majority of the information. So you can stop here if you want. I'm just going to continue on for a little bit about a few things that I've been shooting after this year, some of my goals, and some of tools I've found to help me obtain them. If that's of any interest to you, you can stick around. One of my big goals is to learn how to act. I thought initially, what's the best way to give back to people, to have the biggest impact you can? It's through emotions, I feel. The ability to positively impact somebody just through your words and your actions, to give them that escape from reality, possibly going as far as instilling euphoric feelings inside them. Acting also allows you to learn a lot about yourself. I've found the concept of letting go I described, being able to do that and deal with yourself on a level that you're able to do that. It teaches you strongly to develop a sense of empathy. How can you effectively portray a character on a deep level if you can't? And the empathy is another great skill because it also teaches you to listen. Anybody can talk, but most people don't listen. To really listen, to understand, to take the time to understand, to try, to not have in your brain the next thing you're going to say and just hold on to that and not really hear what the other person's saying, but to be there in the moment and to really listen, to take it in, to want to know, to want to understand. That is a big skill. And of course, one of the biggest things I think you learn through acting is to become comfortable in your own skin, to no longer be afraid about what people think, to be willing to go out there and be yourself. As one teacher went over with me, is to be able to go into an audition and not worry about it. You don't want to go in and be all tight and, as he calls it, schmacting. If you're not able to let go and be yourself, that's the one moment they're going to see. But if you're comfortable in your skin and you walk in with the attitude, if it works, it works. If not, there's always the next one. No matter how many times the next one is not there, but if you can keep saying that over and over to yourself and believe it, and just be comfortable in the moment, be comfortable with who you are in your own skin. That's another incredible part toward the mindset of a champ. Another goal I found myself going for wasn't even on my list. It turned out aerial dance. As I've mentioned before, it's kind of a weird thing for me to go for. It's kind of funny. I just showed up. I was just looking to volunteer and help out because it's a nonprofit organization mostly. They did have a little bit of a professional side as well. I just went to volunteer and help out to support. And they were having a free community night that night, and somehow managed to talk me to coming in, which is pretty unusual back then. It was just making it through the front door was a huge step. It's massive social anxiety. It was kind of what started this whole thing. And somehow it just grew on me. I just kept going back and then learning all these chronic aches and pains like lower back and wrists and tendonitis and other things. It was began to see it was all reversible through different stretchings and exercises and flexibility and kinetic massage. It just kind of blew me away. It's kind of like making exercise and physical therapy fun. I will admit it is pretty intense though, and I'm still battling through the physical level of trying to be able to do very much. I don't think I've been able to do a pull-up in over 12 years. Since I was 12. That would be about 30 years. Also, just a bunch of amazing, supportive, positive people. From what I understand, it's pretty much the circus attitude. It's very, very supportive. But not only gets you in shape, and they go over pretty much every single muscle in the body. You use everything in aerial. It's the combination of not just exercise and art, but also like Pilates and, like I say, kinetic massage and yoga. It's so many things all brought into one. So physically, it's great. Mentally, with the positive people there and the challenges all the time, I mean, that's great for the attitude. I mean, almost every day or at least every week, you're progressing a little bit. You may not see it. It might be really small. But that's a lot of times why people think they're plateauing. They're like, oh, I fought for this, I fought for this, I fought for this. It's not getting anywhere, and then jumps. You're not going to see you achieving that inch until you're there. You don't always see the gradual steps getting there. You just see, now I can do it. Great for mental stability and emotional support as well. It's just all sticking with the repetition and the practice. I also started with a local improv group as well, which turned out pretty good this year because it allowed a little bit of a levity where we could just go kind of goof off in class while we're learning. I had no idea that improv was such a confidence builder, really. Not just that they do shows and stuff, but they also will go to like businesses and do confidence building things with improv. They'll play the games with the company to actually get the employees to learn about how to build confidence. You make people happy is one thing. If you can have a fun way to build confidence while you're making them happy, that's like another level. Lastly, I'll talk about Toastmasters. It's a group I found, and you may well have heard of. They're worldwide. Basically, they teach people and assist them through pathways and mentorship and other resources how to become not just great speakers, but also great leaders. Every time you go up to speak, you get evaluated. And there's always glows and grows. So it's never just, oh, you did a great job and you don't learn anything. It's always, there was this, you did great. This, you did good. And maybe if you did this, it could be better. And they always say it in good ways. It's not like, oh, never do this or always do this. It's, this was good, but it could be better maybe if you did this. Or have you thought about trying this? Or I noticed that maybe you do this or that, but if you did this, it might be even better. And it varies on the level, of course. An introductory speaker, to keep them positive and motivated, you would want to give more positive praise to start and really minor, grows. If they're a more advanced speaker, then you can be like really nitpicky because obviously they've been doing it a while. And maybe there's something that they are totally unaware of. Or just from a different perspective, the evaluator would see something that nobody else has yet. This is where it comes in very useful. I mean, the feedback is one of the most useful parts. Every meeting also has different roles you play. Toastmaster, the MC of the meeting. The speakers, of course, you have prepared speakers, and then there's a table topics session with a table topics master that on the theme of the day the Toastmaster designates will come up with questions. And the table topics is one anybody can answer, even guests. Normally you have to be a member to fill roles. And table topics are short, whereas speeches are anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes normally. Table topics are only like 1 to 2 minutes. But it gives people a chance to stretch their verbal skills and throw something out. Of course, after that, there is a whole set of evaluators that evaluate every part. Evaluators for each speaker, one evaluator for table topics, a general evaluator to evaluate all evaluators, like grammarian, a timer. And for each one of these, members are encouraged to move between the roles, to try each one. And this is where the leadership comes in. Because the evaluators, especially if you go to the highest level, the general evaluator will evaluate the evaluators and tell them how they did. So it's not just the people being evaluated at the bottom, the evaluators themselves also get feedback on what they did that was good and what also they could improve upon. So everybody is constantly learning. And this goes all the way to world championships. So globally, you might find some of the world's best speakers. Videos are posted and gives you a chance to see what they're like and learn from them. And they put pathways out to kind of help you along the journey towards becoming great. All it's required is putting the time in and constantly over and over again, just challenging yourself to get a little better each time. The resources are there. You just have to put the effort in. There are some amazing people. I'll post a couple links in this video's description as well. There were a couple of books that I found very influential that may also benefit you. So I'll put some links there too.